Burning streets where the wild things meet. Fast lane rebel cries. We're chasing the highs. In the dark of night, our lights collide. Electric dreams, we're alive. Going for the night. We're born to roam in the field service life, where the thrill of the chase cuts like a knife. We're born to rise in the fire and the strife. Gasoline veins, adrenaline high.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the next episode of Field Service Life. Today we have Joe Cantoli and Tim Walsh, two guys who have a lot of experience in this field. I'll let them introduce themselves. Joe, you want to start?
Sure. Joe Cantoli, currently work at Pillar Incorporated, rotary UPS manufacturer. I am a project manager, basically oversee projects as they come out of sales and cradle to grave them.
Awesome. Thank you. And Tim, can you introduce yourself, sir?
I'm Tim Walsh. I'm the regional field service manager for Quality Uptime at ABM Company.
And that's the Northeast region?
Indeed, yes. Sorry, yeah, Northeast United States.
Yeah, no worries. All right, guys. Glad to have you both on the pod. Like I said, both of these gentlemen bring a lot of experience, and they've both had pads where they've been in different positions throughout their career. So, expect this is going to be one of the one of the better episodes here. So, we'll start with Tim this time. Tim, what got you into this field?
An accident. I was going to be a cop. I got out of the Army in 2010, and I was getting ready to join the NYPD, get in the police academy, but the mayor postponed the academy from January to July, and it was November. And I was like, man, I don't have enough money to make it to July. So I put my resume on Monster, and I got an interview with APC. And the thing is, I applied for like security guard jobs. Like figured I'd do some security until the academy. And a headhunter calls me up. He's like, "Oh, we have UPS. You want to work for you want to work for UPSs?" And I was like, I can guard some boxes. I don't mind. And so I interviewed, and nothing made sense. The questions they were asking didn't make any sense, but I guess I interviewed well, and they hired me.
Happy accident.
Yeah, right.
All right, Joe, same question. What got you into this field?
So ever since I can remember, I was always interested in electricity. Uncle's an electrical engineer, went to school for basic electronics and electrical construction maintenance. I was an electrician for about 8 years. Good friend of mine mentioned an opening at then called KW Controls. Uh, Interviewed, offered me the job, figured, hey, rather than working outside in the 100-degree heat and cold winters below zero on towers, I could work on machines indoors all the time. Sounds like a good deal. So that's how I started as a field service technician.
Gotcha. Okay, makes sense. So, all right, what was your first day in the field like, and what were your expectations before going into that first day? Joe, we'll start with you this time.
You know that was over 45 years ago, right? That my first day. Let's see. I think I was working with Nick Verdi. I don't know if you ever met Nick, but he was a long time staple, kind of a crude gentleman, but very smart, very capable. Um, and I think we went down to the city and did a job, and it really got, it's an exciting job that we do with the people we meet, the types of clients that we have, all those three-letter acronyms that you can even think of, we've worked at. and I'm sure even Tim has done the same. Um, and it's unique. It's a very small community. A lot of people know each other. I'm pretty sure I've heard of Tim before. Uh, so most of us have crossed paths or know somebody that knows somebody that's crossed paths. Uh, I mean, first day it was work, right? But where you were, what you were doing, and who you were doing it for made a big difference to me.
Yeah, I mean, if you're dealing with like, you know, maximum security, high profile, multi-million dollar customers or prisons or banks versus, like a mom and pop, you know, bakery or whatever, it's the whole level of your anxiety changes based on that. So your day is going to be less or more stressful. Tim, what about you? What was your first day like, and what were your expectations versus reality?
Well, I didn't really have any expectations because, like I said, I didn't know uh, like anything about the industry. So I show up. It was the Bank of Australia on Park Avenue, and I show up in penny loafers and and a golf shirt. And first person I met was Shane Laughlin, who ended up becoming a really close friend of mine. And "You wearing penny loafers?" I was like, "Yeah, why am I not supposed to?" He's like, "We work with electricity," and I was like, "No, no, I don't." And so it was really like just like a shock of what I was getting into. Uh, but I remember the day 'cause all four guys at the site, Shane Laughlin, Ron Mendoza, Calvin Williams, and Frankie Rivera, they're uh, they're like my closest friends now. Like I've known these guys 16 years. I've been to all their weddings, their houses. Uh, so yeah, it was a pretty cool first day for not knowing anything about electronics or electricity.
Awesome. Yeah, so that's crazy that you got into this field like not even knowing it was an electrical job, and you stuck with it, and you came out the other end, and now you're running you're running a whole crew. That's amazing. What would you say your morning routine is like before you get out the door for one of these jobs? And we'll start with Tim on this one. And how has that changed over the years?
Uh, well, in the field, I'd wake up. My wife would make a giant pot of coffee, and then I'd get in the car and I'd sit through New York City traffic and and contemplate what am I doing with my life sitting in this traffic. Uh, and then just go to the site, get the job done, sit back in more traffic on the way home. Uh, but now I just I wake up, I call my boss, check my emails, checking on any guys that are having issues and uh, any other issues that pop up every day.
Okay. What about you, Joey?
Well, my current position is vastly different than field service, though I spent a vast majority of my time as a field service technician, like you were saying, many different. I was a regional manager. I was contract sales. A lot of different aspects of the I had my finger on. But from a field service, you don't know where you're going to be. We cover the Northeast, so we could have been in the city, we could have been in Boston, we could have been down in Virginia. Most of the time, there was also times where when I was just a Northeast person way back when, that was very limited. But as the years went on, we used to have reps and smaller companies for different parts of the country. Eventually, Pillar took them back we took them back under our wing, and we distributed technicians all across basically North America and Canada, including Canada, I should say.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you and
So,
I both had
yeah,
that common with the Canadian work visa.
we lived up in Canada for a couple of years. I think still have a few more years on it than you do, but I think I had a total of 5. I'm not allowed to work up there anymore.
Yeah, I renewed it until I was maxed out as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a rough commute.
Yeah, a little bit.
All right.
But yeah, there was a lot of unknown. I mean, you did get your assignment and you did your thing and sometimes you were alone and sometimes you were with a crew, but at the end of the day, you had to go and other than maintenance, you were there if you were there for troubleshooting. Um, you had to focus and reach out to people that could help you if needed and get the job done.
right. So
You
the
remember those days.
expectation, yeah, right. So the expectation is you're not leaving until it's fixed, right?
That's exactly right. Or they have somebody relieving you till it's fixed.
Right. All right. So on that same pathway, walk me through a typical day. We'll start with you, Joe, and we'll move on to Tim after.
My current day, my
Oh,
what I'm
no, no.
doing
When
today.
when you were in the field, I mean, you
Oh,
can
when I was in
also
okay.
include presently, but let's talk about field first.
Field service. Um, Again, it varied day to day. I mean, some days way back in the 80s, we would go into the shop and get our assignments and be dispatched from there. Um, so it could be, maintenance on a unit, just doing greasing bearings and taking readings to troubleshooting why something had failed. Um, So there was never really a routine other than the fact that there was no routine. I mean, especially when it was trouble calls, we have a process where we had a certain number of guys that were on call. And if a trouble call came in during that, you were the person to be on call, it was up to you to respond to the client and go to the site and repair the equipment. And that had its own rewards, but it could be 2 o'clock in the morning you get a call, and guess what? You're up out of bed and doing your thing.
Absolutely. Um, yeah, that could have a real detriment to your social life, I imagine, or I know for a fact. But uh,
It's definitely for the younger generation. As we got older, that's why I sought out other positions within the same company, and that's why I'm a project manager now, especially.
all right, sounds good. Tim, same question.
Yeah, everything that Joe says pretty much on it. It all depended on what you were doing. I mean, you could have like a single phase PM. You leave your house at 8, you're home by 10:30, or you could go to Credit Suisse and be there for 26 hours. In the good old days before they put a kibosh on that. It's just it all it all depends. Like this industry isn't for everybody, uh, and if it's also really really hard on relationships. You have to have a real tough wife to put up with our calendars.
Oh, I agree with that
I would
100%.
agree 100%. You need a strong family. Yep.
Awesome. So we're all on the same page there. Um,
Yeah.
what would you say is the most satisfying part of the job? And Tim, you start on this one, please.
Uh, I think fixing something that somebody couldn't fix. Like being that second guy to go in there and being like, oh, I got this, and making it all working out. You're like, oh man, I really know what I'm doing. It's like, I think that's probably the best.
Joe, same question.
Yeah, I would have to agree. It's those things where you're thinking outside the box, or you have insight into something that nobody else did at the time. That can be said for most things in life. That same thing could be applied to field service, to project management, to a regional manager. There are things in this industry that uh, jump right out at you, and there are things that are not as clear as they could be, and you have to figure it out. And when you do, it's pretty satisfying.
Awesome. So, okay, when you were coming up as a technician, at what point would you, or maybe you never did you ever struggle with what they call imposter syndrome, where you didn't feel like you had it yet, but you were just doing the job and you felt like, you know, one day you were going to run into something and it was going to, you were going to feel like you didn't belong? Or if you did you get over that, and how did you get over that? And at what point in your career?
Who's that to first?
Oh, to you. Sorry, Joe.
Want me to go first?
Yes, please.
I don't think I did. I always had, even if I was stumped on a certain thing, and as you know, we had a network of people that we could call in for assistance.
Right.
Um, and I always had confidence that some way I was going to figure it out, whether I needed some push in the right direction. Um, but I never really had that where I felt like I was not in the right industry. Like I said, I'd always wanted to do electricity, always did electricity, and sort of grew up around it. So that was never my case.
Oh, that's awesome. Tim, same question to you. Being that you weren't even knowing you were getting into this electricity, did you go through that at all?
Yeah, absolutely. I think in the first 9 months, maybe even more, maybe the first couple of year and a half, I just was like, one of these days they're gonna find out I'm a fraud. And and then one day it just clicked. Like one day I woke up and it was like a switch turned on. And I was like, man, I know what I'm doing. Like, and it just became clear, like this is what I was meant to do. Uh, but yeah, no, it was there were days where I was like, man, they're gonna know that I'm full of it. Like I just don't know what's going on. I can't explain. Uh, and I don't know. I just made it. I just faked it until I made it. And then, and like I said, one day I woke up and I was like, wow, yeah, this is what I was put on the planet to do.
Sweet. That's awesome. Um, all right, so this question's a little bit off topic from what we were talking about, but and this is to Tim. So, what has changed the most in this industry in general since you've been working? And how many years again did you say you were in this industry?
This is my 15th year.
15? So, what's changed the most since you started to now?
Everything pretty much. And when I first started, we were cowboys. We just do whatever we got to do to get the job done. Uh, spare no expense, make the customer happy. Uh, however long it takes, whatever it takes. Uh, and you could talk to people however you want. Nobody really cared about anything you said as long as you knew what you were doing, got the job done. And now it's like they put caps on hours you're on. If you go over budget, they freak out. You can't really talk. You really have to like watch your tongue. Like even if you're with your boys, like you've known forever, like one slip and that's a wrap. Uh, it's got real political.
Now, is that because your position changed, or is that just because the industry's changing?
I think it's just the industry changed. I mean, more so that I'm management now. Like I definitely have to watch my P's and Q's, but I just feel like it's industry wide. Like you just can't. Like, the good days are over now. It's just it is what it is.
Gotcha. All right, Joe, same question.
Well, I started in the 80s, so there was no laptops, there was no cell phones. We had pagers that we wore 724. You had to
Did
find a
they
phone.
the street lights had to light them with a wick and a candle?
Almost. Yeah, yeah. So besides the technology stuff, I think the biggest change in our industry are the safety requirements. They're, and I firmly believe they're for the better, but are they going a little bit too far? Maybe. That's not really, I'm not a professional in that regard, although I do my fair share of videos and safety requirements, and you know, I still manage people. So within our projects, I'm still managing field service technicians when they're on sites. And for us, we have to dictate and make sure that everybody's doing the right thing in the right manner. So other than technology, which is obvious, something from the 80s to now, I think the biggest thing is, obviously the machines are much more reliable. We're spending a lot less time troubleshooting. Um, but safety's been a really big piece of what not only the lowest level, entry level tech is responsible, all the way up through upper management is responsible now.
Yeah, I have to agree with both of you. Just like Tim said it as well with the Cowboys comment. So I won't say what company, but when I started in this field, I remember, you were required to take dead front panels off of units and to take measurements on a semi-annual PM. Nowadays, that would be like, are you crazy? You're going to take a metal panel off of a running unit? That's not done anymore. So
With
yeah, I
live, yeah,
agree.
live components right behind it.
Right, exactly. So yes, I agree. That is the major change that I've noticed as well. Um, so all right, let's get into some war stories. We'll start with Joe on this one. What is the most catastrophic thing you've walked into when going, to a trouble call? And guys, I don't know if you guys are under DNRs, so if you can't say a customer name or something to that effect, let me know. And if I need to delete it in post production, I will. So go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, I might have told you this one, but there was a site in Florida. This was back in the day when KW Controls was making their own UPS, and it was a static UPS. And it was for a company that used high-speed equipment, high-speed drill sets, high-speed um, manufacturing. Mostly it was the drills, because what they would do is they would be these automated drill sets. So there was a PLC, and they're in these big enclosures, and the drill would do its thing and then instantaneously go in reverse. And then when it went in reverse, it had enough back EMF. Now, we didn't know this at first. We had to figure it out. But it had enough back EMF that it would push the DC bus in the static UPS higher than the cap limits, and the caps would literally explode.
Yeesh.
So there, we probably blew that unit up 4 to 5 times. And the first 2 times I was within 3 feet of it. And we finally figured out, we brought an engineer in, we created this buffer. Basically, when the drill went into reverse, it fired an SCR that kicked in a big resistor bank, and it would just glow instead of blowing up the caps. And that was the fix. But that's one of my war stories that I'll never forget as long as I live, because as you can imagine, standing in front of the UPS for the first time and not expecting it to go boom. And it was a 125 kVA unit also. So it wasn't one of those little 10 kVAs.
Yeah, for sure. I
That's
mean,
mine.
when things go boom hard enough, you can see through walls.
Yeah.
I remember a transformer exploding in a unit, and I was actually saw inside the unit through, I don't know if it was in my imagination or what, but I saw it.
Yeah.
Um, Tim, same question. What's your war story, the worst catastrophic failure you've experienced?
My very first time on call solo. Uh, it was in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, and can't remember the name of the company, but it was definitely a shady, like money laundering site. Uh, I went in there, and the door closes behind you, but you can't open it up. Someone has to come and open it for you. And I was supposed to replace a static switch on a PX 40K, but like I said, I really didn't have an understanding of the industry yet. And so I called up tech support, and I'm like, "Is this the one where you can just pull the static switch out and Just put it back in, and the tech support guy was like brand new, and he's like, "Yeah, sure." So I do it, and the data center shuts down, and the guy comes in, real mafia style. What the heck's going on? I was like, I have no clue. Like it was supposed to just pull out, push in, and turn back on. But I was able to get the static switch back in, got it back up, and then the customer was like, "Well, I want to test to make sure it can go into bypass." Uh, so I was like, "Yeah, sure, I can do that." He leaves. I uh, I put it into bypass, and the site took a hit, dropped it again. so
Oh,
so here I
and you're
am.
alive to tell the story.
Here I am in a locked room in this money laundering spot, definitely run by the mafia. And this time, like four of them come, and they were like, "We need you to leave." And I was like, "Yeah, that's probably a good idea."
Oh my goodness. So for our watchers who are not, as familiar, us obviously that was a terrifying experience because he was dealing with shady people, but in our industry, the whole purpose is that the power should never go out. And the power went out twice in that situation, so that's that's really bad.
In like 20 minutes. Yeah.
Oh
People
man,
get fired for less. So,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. Did you sleep well after that?
no, I was petrified for like months.
Oh,
Yeah.
Frank, didn't
that
you do that once? Pull a card out of a running unit and make it go down?
pull a card out of a running unit
Yeah,
and make it go down.
yeah. Didn't you? Wasn't that you? No, maybe not.
Uh,
No, you don't remember that?
No,
Maybe
I
not
don't
you.
remember. I don't remember ever having an issue. I had one load loss when I was with um, my first company, not Pillar,
Yeah.
and I was very green. I was like 2 weeks on the job, and they were saying, "Do this, do this, do this," and I didn't. It was loud in the room with it, and I didn't hear close this, and I opened that, and yeah. But as far as when I
No,
was
it must
with
not have been you. Somebody around your time frame was told to put it into bypass first before removing the circuit board and neglected that piece of the puzzle and just
Mm,
pulled the board out and pew, went down.
I could
yep,
probably guess who that
Yeah.
was.
yeah, I could probably guess who it was too. But yeah, I think the only time I ever had a loss at when I was with Pillar is we had a unit that we put in bypass for maintenance and they lost power while we were on bypass. So I mean,
Uh,
it is what it is. We're in
yeah,
bypass. There's no
that's not your
backups.
fault. Yeah.
But all right, what do we got next? Okay, so I guess we'll start with Joe on this one. So have you ever been on a job where you had to MacGyver a solution? Like you didn't have what you needed in your kit or whatever the case may be, but you made it work.
Uh, for some reason, we just lost you. You
Oh,
there?
am I back?
It might be
'Cause
my
I see
computer. One
you.
sec.
You know,
Yeah,
I
I see
got you.
both of you. I hear you.
Yeah, hang on a second.
Yeah, take your time.
You want me to answer
Yeah, there
first?
you are. I don't know. That was weird. Uh, Not really. You remember what the equipment was like. It's pretty high tech. It's really hard to make something out of. I mean, have we had to do workarounds to in an overall project, switch gear, peripheral gear, maybe, but as far as the UPS itself, I can't recall ever having to do something like that. It's just not conducive to that type of equipment. Now,
Okay.
doing I will say, and you were with me on a few of these. We were given very little instruction on how to perform those huge bearing changes. So a lot of the trial and error and thinking about it. So I came up with a lot of processes and procedures on how to do all that stuff that wasn't really given to us. So whether that could be classified MacGyvering something,
Absolutely.
possibly. Yeah,
Absolutely.
but yeah.
Okay. That's awesome. Like when you came up with getting the cold pack around the shaft to to shrink it.
That and the when we did the torches for the clutches and
Mhm.
how to get stuff apart. You know, George had a lot to do with it, but a lot of the basics I came up with.
Missed that guy. I haven't talked to him in a few months.
Yeah,
Yeah, I should have him on the pod. I'll give him. I'm gonna reach out to him.
you should.
Tim, same question. You ever have to MacGyver it to make it work?
No, I've always been too petrified to go in it that way. I mean, I've seen it done. Like people do some crazy stuff, and you're like, I can't believe that works. But no, I'm pretty much a scared little girl when it comes to that kind of stuff. I just don't have the testicular fortitude to try to pull something like it off. I'm just the biggest scaredy cat when it
You
comes to that
should
kind of stuff.
respect it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not something you want to mess with unless you know what you're doing.
Well, let me give you a for example though before you turn out your pockets on this one. So, Joe, the TUPS. We had a TUPS that was normal, it was running, and then anytime you'd like bump into the unit or shut the door, it would go into bypass. And it turns out that one of the thyristor cards was loose in the card cage. So all I did is instead of replacing the card cage because the metal was just flimsy, I just wrapped a whole bunch of tie wraps around the card cage to sink it in. So all the cards would sit in there nice and tight.
Yeah, keep it
And
tight.
then
Yeah.
and then no matter how much you bumped and slammed the door, it was fine. And we didn't have to replace the card cage. Tim, with that kind of perspective, is there anything that you've maybe MacGyvered?
Yeah, probably. I just can't think of anything right now.
No worries.
Uh, yeah, probably. It's been 50 years.
All right.
Zip ties are awesome.
Zip ties are awesome. They saved my not just my career, but also like my private life. They come in handy all the time. Um, all right. So what was the weirdest thing you've ever seen or found in a UPS room that shouldn't have been there? Tim, take this one first.
Uh, well, I'm actually gonna put you on the spot on this one. The flux capacitor from Back to the Future.
That was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. Yeah, Joe, we went to this job site together, and they had the Back to the Future flux capacitor on the wall in the
That's
UPS room.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was expensive too, and it like lit up and stuff. That was a pretty cool sight. So Joe, what about you?
Uh, Weird things. I mean, we've had
I think you cut out on
You
us
lost them.
again.
create little houses in our control cabinets in the past. That's never a good thing. Um, can't really think of anything unique, but yeah, that's probably about it. Rodents in our units.
Oh yeah, like the one in Middletown. That one.
Yeah, that's exactly the one I'm thinking of, or
Yeah,
even
I
the
took
one
a
up in
video.
Massachusetts. Yeah, the one in Massachusetts too, the
Right.
bakery.
All right. So let's move on to safety. Since you went last, Joe, you'll go first. Have you ever been shocked? And if so, how much and how serious?
Yeah, I've been shocked. My worst one I wasn't a technician at the time. I was an electrician, and I did something stupid. I pulled a piece of BX cable. I thought the circuit was off, and I needed the wire a little bit longer, so I went to pull the BX cable off, and the wire was still hot and energized. So once it's separated, it's no longer grounded. So now I got a piece of BX in my one hand, and I'm grabbing hold of the other piece of BX with the other hand, and I was the ground.
Yeesh.
Yeah, that was kind of scary. And other than that, I've been hit with 480, but nothing crazy. by then I knew better, and I knew one hand rule. Always put one hand on a live if you thought it was live. Um, but yeah, that's
120,
about it.
480.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
You know, they used to, that was actually in the manual back in the day. It said some men can take it. Use two fingers, these two fingers for 120 and use these two fingers for 480.
Yeah.
Crazy the standards
Back in
since
the day. Yeah.
how they've changed. Any scars from any of those experiences, Joe?
Yeah. Nope. Just mentally.
That's enough.
Yeah. It took me a while to trust myself again. Let's put it that way. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like I
we're
said,
definitely
that
getting
was
second
even
guessed.
prior to me. Yeah. Prior to coming to Pillar or KW at the time.
Gotcha. Same question, Tim.
Yeah, yeah. I almost blew my hand off. Uh, I I thought I de-energized, and I went to pull a fuse with my fingers, and my ring finger, my ring, my wedding ring, hit circuit, went in through the ring and then out through my wrist. Uh,
Ah,
and yeah, I didn't have my hand for like 6 months. It sucked, but I
Oh
didn't tell
wow.
anybody. Like I just kind of just went through the motions because I didn't want to get fired. But that's why I have my ring tattooed now because I don't want anyone to see the scar.
no more jewelry, right?
Yeah, I don't know if you can see, but right here is where it came out, and it is a big old scar.
Wow.
Yeah, it's that's a common the ring thing. I've seen a lot of guys in our industry with the tattooed ring, or they wear a wood or a silicone or something like that ring that's non-conductive. But glad that you're all right, and
Yeah,
sorry.
I was hesitant to get it tattooed. I was like, oh, it's probably bad luck, I'll get it tattooed and then get divorced the next day. But and I've been with her 20 something years, so I was like, she's not leaving me. Yeah.
All right, so we'll start with Tim on this one. What are some things that you've seen people do that are unsafe that you wish all field service engineers didn't do, or what practices do you wish that they did follow that they don't that would keep everybody safer?
Uh, not sure. Like knives, I think. I don't know. I don't want to say his name, but we all know who I'm talking about. Uh, Showed up with a katana blade to the site one time. Thing was like it was really like the longest knife I've ever seen. I was like, we were cutting boxes, and I was like, hey, Will, I need a knife. And he's like,
Use
oh,
the
I got
hand.
a knife for you. And I
Oh,
swear the thing was a sword. It was I couldn't believe it. But as far as safety, I think everyone nowadays is just because it's so like ingrained in our brains, just they just do it to. I mean, everyone's just pretty much safe now.
okay, that's good to
Yeah.
hear. What about you, Joe?
Yeah, it's the basics. It's taking your time. Some techs get a little over anxious and want to prove themselves, or they take chances that they don't really need to do. They'll get themselves into a predicament where, oh, I just have to take this voltage reading. Let me reach in there and do this real quick. And it's not always the safest way to do it. So, instead of, putting on the PPE the way you're supposed to, they'll get in a hurry and cut corners or, do something silly like that. And sometimes it doesn't work out in their favor.
Okay, is there any particular person, and you don't have to use their name, that made you really nervous when they were on site because they were uber dangerous?
There was a couple of people. There was a guy even way before your time that had some issues and he wanted to throw himself on the live bus, so it was not a good scenario. There was some younger guys, one person, I think, yeah, you might have been with us, just doing silly things that shouldn't be done And I think this was actually in the shop, and you might have been there. I ended up having to raise my voice for the first time in my life against an employee because he was not being safe, just reaching into something that he shouldn't been. But I felt like it was for his benefit as much as the company's. Uh, but those were the
Absolutely.
two big ones.
And you're as cool as a cucumber, so to for you to raise your voice, that's definitely out of character. So he was
Yeah,
definitely doing the wrong thing, that person.
yeah.
Tim, same question.
Um, I don't want to say his name.
Again.
Well, you know who I'm talking about. The craziest person to ever be in our industry. Uh, uh, William Lee.
Uh, we had him for a while. He came to you after us.
He
No, he came from there. They fired him.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, yeah.
the nicest person on the planet,
Oh, absolutely.
the craziest technician to ever be born.
He was one of
Uh,
those guys that would be in a hurry.
Yes.
He was, yeah, he was the poster child for not being safe.
yeah, I love him. He's a really nice guy.
Yeah.
Uh, just oh man, the things he would do, you were just like, oh my god, like I'm trying to go home alive today.
Right. That's the number one job objective. All right.
By the way, he
So,
was not he was not the guy I yelled at, so it wasn't him.
oh wow.
It was
Now
somebody
I'm
else.
curious. Now I'm
Yeah,
curious.
yeah.
Tell me offline later.
All right.
All right. All right, let's get into some client interactions. I know, in our industry we get around quite a bit and in the different job positions, in the different you could be dealing with anybody from the CEO of a company to the security guard to the secretary who lets you into the room and you meet all types, right? Because you're in all different places, all different industries. So have you ever met somebody really eccentric or really, different out there that you had experiences with and you would, kind enough to share your experience with us? Start with you, Joe.
Uh, Probably the most eccentric is our old boss, the old head of our company. Um, he was a different kind of fella. You know who I'm talking about, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So he had a different view of life, and he truly felt like he was doing you a favor in being in his presence. So he went on to other things and is very successful, but um, I often wonder how.
I
Often,
didn't have much interaction with him because I was still in the field,
yeah,
back when he was
you
running
were
the
just
show.
a green guy then.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, he was. Yeah, you look up eccentric and you'll see a picture.
But what about clients? Any clients that
I don't know. Again, it depended on circumstances. I mean, I've been on in boardrooms with, like you said, the CEO, and something wasn't going right, and they get a little animated, and but nothing really sticks out as far as a big personality. Although we do have a new job that we're dealing with. I can't mention a name, but I won't have to deal with it. It's not my project, but it's pretty exciting. Um, he's probably the most famous person we ever dealt with. I can tell you
okay.
offline later. Yeah, I don't think
Yeah,
I'm
sounds
allowed to
good.
say. Yeah,
I'm interested. Okay,
yeah.
fair enough.
He's actually
Uh
he's in the news a lot lately. Let's put it that way.
I have guesses now. All right. Tim, same question.
Uh, Centric, not really. Crazy, yeah. I used to. It's like a running joke I used to do, like when the customer would leave me in the room and be like, "Hey, just call me when you're ready to leave." And I would say, "Oh, I got your number now. That means we're best friends." Uh, and I was in a like a foundry in Pennsylvania, and the guy like took it to heart. Uh, so I was like, "Yeah, we're best friends now." And he was like, "Oh, I don't really have any friends, so that's perfect." And like I kind of giggled, like really he's joking. But I went home, and the next day he sent me a selfie, like, "Hey, how does this shirt uh, look?" And I was like, "Who is this?" And he's like, "Oh, it's Bob from yesterday. We're best friends now." And I was like, "What?" So I was like, "Okay, he's messing with me. It's just a joke. I'll play along." But like, and he started like calling every day, and like he invited me to his sister's wedding. Uh, like
Wow.
he would like he would like call me like random days to say, "This is what I'm doing today. You want to go meet up for lunch?" And I was like, "Man, you're crazy." I had to like block him, and then like ask the coordinators never to send me back to that site because it was like like for real crazy.
Wow. It's a crazy story.
So I don't say that anymore. Like now, I just give them the number and we keep it moving.
Fair enough.
I had to relocate. My wife had to start dinner in the kitchen.
Oh, no worries. I know what that's like. All right. Tim, have you ever had to explain something super technical to a customer who just had no technical abilities whatsoever? It was just like, it was a struggle. And how did you deal with it?
Which time? Like it's like every day. I mean, there's some customers who get it, but I wanted to say a majority have no idea what they're looking at when uh, you're talking to them. Like, because it's just some guy who his job is to uh, just to take you into the room and they have no clue what's going on. So that's a struggle that I never really mastered.
So, I think I might have some good pointers for you on that in the future. I can maybe get some information to you, but okay. Interesting. What about you, Joe?
Yeah, I would agree. There most of the clients on the customer level. I mean, other than engineers and when we're doing bigger systems, uh, I remember we had a system again in Florida, not the same one, but we received a call saying this unit keeps shutting off, and so I was a tech at the time, and I went there and played 20 questions with the people that are around it. And come to find out that the people thought that the horn would go off when it would go to battery, and it was back normal, but the horn wouldn't reset automatically. You had to hit the horn silence. Well, they figured out how to silence the horn. It was the big red button on the front of the unit. Yeah.
Yeah, that'll do
Uh,
it.
that's yeah. So, you know, from everything from explaining that the EPO is not the horn silence all the way up to how does a UPS work. I've had to explain it, and for the most part, you can um, get it to a level. I mean, again, I've been doing this for a very long time, and so been explaining it for a very long time. So I'm pretty good at walking people through it and trying to keep it as simple in their what they could understand. But yeah,
The extra power on button.
yeah,
Extra power on.
extra. That's the one.
Oh man, that's funny. All right. Now, sticking with Joe, were there any sites that you very much enjoyed going to? And if so, why?
Hmm. Yeah. Well, that one job we did up in Canada was a big job, um, and I was the lead, my first lead. So, and it was very complicated, and people relied on me, my expertise. So. More so than anything, I think the the type of work that was being done there was really the good part about it. The bad part was that it was so far away.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, I think I liked going there. There was and friendly people, and eventually the guy that worked side by side with us eventually became the facility manager. So we were friends at the time. So
I know exactly what you're talking about.
yep.
Um, awesome. Okay. So, Tim, same question.
Renaissance Technology in Long Island, and the Apple spaceship in California. Renaissance
Oh,
Technology, uh,
are you allowed to
they,
say these names before, I can cut
I
them
mean, they're
when,
not my customers anymore, so I don't care. You know,
okay. Just want to
but
make sure I can edit it out.
Renaissance Technology in Long Island is the greatest place to be a technician at because they have a candy, a candy cupboard where you just walk in and grab as much candy as you want, and they they get you breakfast in the morning, and there's like these gigantic breakfast sandwiches that could feed like four people, but they give you one, and it's like the greatest breakfast sandwich of all time. And the Apple spaceship, they treat you right there too.
I'm going to jump in on this one too, even though I'm not interviewing myself, but I won't say the names of the sites, but there's a site in Carteret, New Jersey that the crew was just, typical that like the guys on that job site reminded me of the guys that I grew up with, all busting each other's chops, always funny. They usually would provide food a lot and just hanging out there when I wasn't, between working and like break time and whatever, it was like hanging out with my friends. Obviously I couldn't be myself. I had to be professional, but just being around it was always awesome. And the other one would be there was a site in downtown Brooklyn where, just the guys there were just great, great people. I stayed friends with them. I still talk to them to this day. So yeah, it's good to get around and make friends. Networking is a
Yeah.
huge part of
Yep.
this job as well. Um, so okay, let's move on to lifestyles. What do you, Joe? We'll start with you on this one. What do you keep in your toolkit that most people in your, in your when you were in the field, most people
Yeah. Yeah.
didn't carry, and like it was like the golden wrench that got you out of the rough spots. Like it was like a thing that you had, nobody else had, and it just did the trick.
Uh, Again, going back a long ways here. I really don't think I did. I mean, uh, my go-to was the meters. I tried to keep as many what they would give us, the different type of measuring devices, and but I don't really have one. No, didn't standard toolkit basically, and like I said, if I had anything, I think I kept my own personal meter as well as the one that they provided. Other than that, that was about it.
All right, seems reasonable. How about you, Tim? You got anything special that you have that gets you through some tough spots?
Yeah, bandsaw, and then this guy, this flexi, uh, like
No, that's cool.
yeah, this thing. Oh, this thing is awesome for like trying to get
Yep.
to those screws in the middle. Like it just you bend it, just so flexible. I love this thing.
You were
Yeah, for
ready for
sure.
that
I mean,
question.
I was like, oh man. Once he said it, I was like, I'm the only one who has this. I love this thing.
All right. Uh, all right, we'll stick with Tim on the next one. So, on this theme of the lifestyle, how do you balance work with on call and sleep and socializing? When you have this on call rotation and obviously these responsibilities of this position.
Edibles? No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Say no to drugs. Um, oh, that's the golden question. If anybody can figure it out, let me know because that's the tough one. That's um, the meaning of life right there. How to figure out social life in this industry. It's tough.
Yeah.
You miss a lot of stuff. This industry, you're gonna miss stuff. You're gonna miss birthdays. You're gonna miss graduations. And you try your best, but uh, uh, you can't always get what you want.
Yeah, and the only thing I would add to that is there's trade-offs, right? So you might miss it, but this industry also offers you other opportunities to do other things and travel and sometimes bring your significant other with you and bring things back, especially when you travel to other, exotic places. So it's always been a trade-off for me. Sometimes it's not equal, but at least it's something.
Okay. Um, and Joe, sticking to you on the next one. What about when you're out and about in the field? What do you do for lunch or dinner? Depending on if you're staying overnight or not. How do you figure that out?
Uh, Depends. We all been there alone and we try not to eat out. I don't like sitting at the restaurant, but I will go to I don't do fast food any longer. I definitely don't do that when I'm on the road. I will sit at the bar and at a sports bar and order a dinner. And depending on what time you have to be back at the site in the next day, I might get takeout and bring it back to the hotel room or whatever. Um, but nothing exotic most times. Every once in a while, when you're with a group of guys in my current role, I do get the opportunity to treat, and I do enjoy that. When I do visit a site, I'll get the two, three guys that are at the job site, and we'll go and have a nice dinner, have a glass of wine, glass of beer, and talk about the job a little bit and talk about life.
Yeah, that's the best way to go about it. Tim, same question. Even though I used to approve your expense report, so I know exactly. But
Yeah. Uh, if I'm in a town where there's a Texas Day Brazil, that's where I'm gonna be. I love that place. Uh, or my wife's meatball sandwiches. Yeah.
yep, you brought those in for us.
Yeah. Oh, she makes the best. I think I got caught putting that in an email once. Her meatballs are amazing.
Let's see. Okay, let's move on to towards the end here. What advice would you give someone getting started in this industry right now? And if you could start over, would you still do it, Tim?
Uh, let's see. Advice to give to somebody starting out. I don't know. Kids now are so emotional. Don't take it personal. Like everyone seems like if you put them on a Saturday job, you're doing it because you don't like them. It's not personal. It's just business. And would I do it all over again? I don't know. I really, really wanted to be a cop. That was like my dream job, so I might not have. But I don't know. I don't any regrets. But yeah, I don't think I would have done it again.
Fair enough. Joe, same question.
Um, well, as you know, I've hired my fair share of people, and what I've tried to do, and I think I did it with
Including
you, is
me.
make sure you understand the sacrifices, and like I said, there's trade-offs, and make sure it's something you want to do. Don't just do it to do it to have a job and do it for a year or something, because it's not going to be fulfilling. Because in a year, you're barely going to know what you're doing. You got to make a commitment, and I get it that people think they're going to like it and they eventually don't. But Um, it's you do get to meet a lot of different people. You get to travel, especially with my company, more so maybe than some others, since we are well, you guys are too, but our guys mix and match. We send people all over the place. So there's advantages and there's disadvantages. Make sure you understand what you're getting yourself into. And I would definitely do it again. Maybe approach it a little bit different and maybe seek out different positions along the way, but would definitely, the industry is like I started out, we are a unique industry and proof positive. Tim mentioned a few names that I know and I know that he knows and it's a very small industry and it's fun. It's interesting and can be very rewarding.
So I just want to tag on to that and say that, you mentioned hiring people, and yeah, Joe, for those of you who don't know, Joe hired me at Pillar when I left after leaving my first job, and I was at my second job and wasn't happy. So I moved over to where he was. And thank you for hiring me and mentoring me in the beginning there. And you not only were good as a management, but you're when I got to work with you on a classic unit in the field that had the Sigmatronic cards that had
Mm,
the individual, you know, uh, different,
yeah.
uh,
Diodes and SCR is built right into
right.
the little
That was challenging,
stacks.
and at that point I had done most of my stuff on the computer, so that was seeing your level of skill to be able to do that from the generation before mine was very impressive, and I was very impressed with you that day. So yeah, just wanted to throw that out there because I give credit where credit is due.
Appreciate
Um,
it.
yeah, for sure. And I appreciate, you jumping on this call. You too, Tim, getting together, and this is great. We get to share this industry experience and hopefully get some new young blood into this industry. Um, Tim, what skill would you say that you've learned, non-technical skill, working in this industry? And we're getting towards the end, guys.
I gotta grab my power cord. Be right. I'm gonna keep you on 1 second.
Or can you say the question again?
Yeah, what non-technical skill would you say you learned in this job that's been
Patience,
valuable to your life?
patience. You have to have
Patience.
patience. If you don't have it, you're not going to last.
That's for sure. I think that goes with everything in life, though. But yeah, this job will definitely teach you the patience. Um, for I know you have gone many, many times to different data centers, and access wasn't always set up properly. Uh, and then you've got places like New York City where you've got a different team that doesn't even work for the same entity running security for the building, and then you have different different customers and different floors and different tenants in the building, and then you have different unions like controlling different elevators, and it gets it can get to be really trying on your patience, right? So yeah, I
Yeah.
agree with you that patience is definitely something you learn here. Joe, what non-technical skill would you say you know in this industry, not just in the field, that you've learned and developed over the years?
That's a good one. The patience thing is definitely an attribute. If you can be patient, um, ask questions, be curious, don't assume you know everything is probably another good thing. There are definitely people smarter than me I rely on. I think as I get older and progress through this industry, um, I realized that more and more. uh, it's not a bad thing to reach out and look for some assistance.
All valid, all reasonable. Where do you see, Joe, where do you see the future of this industry going with, all the advances in technology, AI and all that other stuff? Battery
Well,
technology, sorry.
yeah, batteries are definitely different today than when we started, than I started. The technology has really come a long way. They're a lot more powerful. Um, the I'm going to plug my company a little bit. We do batteryless. We have flywheel technology that we employ to ride through up to a minute at more than that now at a
Yeah,
3,000
so
kVA.
explain that. Paint the picture for people who are non-technical. Sorry, Joe, I don't mean to cut you off, but like
Yeah, that's fine.
explain it like
So
more holistically.
yeah, so our company, which is Pillar, my company that I work for, uh, manufactures a flywheel that spins at a high rate of speed, 3,300 RPM, and has about a 10,000 pound to 13,000 pound flywheel. And what it's designed to do is when it's spinning, it replaces a battery. So it will charge when being charged and the utility is available. And when utility is not available, it will discharge back through our UPS and keep it spinning until you can start a generator or have an alternate source or something. So it's the flywheel technology is being employed more and more as we get away from hazardous items like lead acid or zinc, nickel zinc, or whatever else. What's the new one? The nickel cadmium.
Mhm.
So,
Thin plate, pure lead.
yeah,
There's so
yeah,
many.
exactly. So, uh, yeah, we can put multiple flywheels on a UPS and get a minute or 2 minutes out of even a 3,000 kVA unit.
And you only really need a couple of seconds for the generator kick online anyway. And if
Yep,
even if you
generators.
have an
Yeah,
hour of batteries, it's not going to matter because you're not getting a generator technician to fix it inside an hour. So,
that's exactly right.
and yeah, Pillar makes a great product, no doubt about that. I worked there many, many years, and I was always impressed with what they can do. And the cost is also amazing, even though the product is slightly more expensive for UPS to UPS for KVA size. People don't realize that when you're dealing with the static, every X amount of years you got to replace the caps, and every X amount of years you got to replace the batteries. And one battery change out can be astronomical, especially if you're dealing with like bigger wet cells. But like a bearing change, what every 10 years on the flywheels, Joe?
Yeah, somewhere around there. Yeah, we're
And
getting
it's like
about 10 years. Yep.
fraction of the cost of a battery replacement.
Yeah, fraction.
So Tim, same question.
Where do I see we're going to be exactly where we are now? As long as people need power, we're going to need people who can keep it up. Uh, I don't think like we're going to get replaced by robots or anything. Uh, I mean, maybe you'll have to downsize a little, but as long as there's a need for it, we're going to be here.
Yeah, I
I
don't see
agree.
this. Yeah, I don't see this industry going anywhere. I mean, technology will probably get better at it, but the basis of the industry is going to be around for a while, especially
So
with AI. The power requirements for AI are
Oh,
crazy now. It just they
it's going to
can't
be like
run on. Yeah,
aspirin times two.
exactly.
so what I'm hearing is we need young blood. We need new people to join this industry and get started in this industry. pays well, right? Obviously, I'm not going to ask you guys to disclose your salary, but you guys are
Yeah.
both doing very well. You know, you've been in this industry for a while. I'm doing well myself. You know, I always could be doing better, but doing fairly well. And you know, we need people who are going to come in here. They're going to learn their craft, focus, and take us to the next level. Be our future. And for those of you trying to get started in this industry, I wrote a book on the subject, Mastering Field Service Engineering, uh, Field Service, UPS. I'll put the link to the book right over here in post production. Also, I got a first and second edition. The second edition has color pictures, so that was an improvement. And I also added a few chapters. Um, Also, if you are looking to get into this industry, my wife and I, mainly my wife, we started a side business where we're trying to help people, you know, get into this industry, right? If they want to get into this industry or other industries, but we got a small recruiting firm where, uh, you know, we try to get companies that are looking to hire some talented people, and we try to get them hooked up. So if you're interested in either of those, I'll put the links up here. But other than
Yeah,
that,
about your book, I see I'm not in it. It's I'm a little upset about that. I don't see my name anywhere in it.
we'll see what we could do in the third edition. You know,
Yeah,
I did I send you one?
no, no. But I
I'll
read it.
have to I'll have to send you one. Oh, you read it?
Yeah, you sent it to somebody who gave it to me, and then I read it and gave it back. But yeah, I would like an autographed copy. It says to my best friend Tim.
I'll definitely do that. I'll send it to you, and I expect some feedback.
Yeah,
Joe, I'm gonna have to send you one too, buddy.
Yeah. I heard you gave one to my boss.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Well, you
yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah. My boss too. Appreciate that.
I'm trying to get some corporate sponsorship over here.
Eh,
Um, but really, I was trying to get feedback, and uh, yeah. So feedback is always welcome, and I was really hoping to get some people to, get on LinkedIn and say, "Hey, I read this book and it's great, and this company enjoys it." But so I've had some
not yet,
people do
huh?
it, but
Once I
that's
get my autographed copy, I'll write something nice.
all right. Sounds good. I'll get those sent out in the next couple of days. I might have to order more author copies to do it, but I'll get them out to you guys. I promise.
Okay.
Um,
You know where to find me.
yes, sir. Actually, you're gonna have to text me your address though, or I could just send it to your office. Yeah, I'll just send it to
Yes.
your
Send it
office.
to my office. Yep.
Yep. Um, okay, we got three wrap-up questions. They're a bit lighter in nature. We'll start with Tim on this one. What is your go-to response to friends and family who ask you to fix their electronics, since you have the experience at your job?
Uh, I usually say I'll do it, but if something burns down, it's not my fault. And then they go and they get a licensed electrician.
All right. What about you, Joe?
Uh, I could probably start a business helping friends and family. But it's always for free, so
Yeah.
yeah, I just do it.
This week alone, I did an electric fence for a neighbor. I fixed my leaf blower, which is more mechanical than electrical, and just yesterday I fixed my washing machine. So, yeah,
Look at
having the
you being
experience is
grown
great.
up.
Uh, so, all right. If you were to have a field service superhero name based on your troubleshooting abilities, Joe, what would it be?
Really? Uh,
I've got one already picked out for you, buddy.
you got one picked out for me?
I named it to you in the past. You don't remember it?
No, it's not coming to me right now. Go ahead, hit it, hit me. I have no idea.
Classic Joe.
Classic Joe. Okay. Yeah, I think I remember you saying that.
But you got to pick one for yourself. Your superhero name, if you were,
Yeah, superhero, huh? Like an existing superhero.
I mean, you make it up.
Make it up.
make something fun that coincides with your ability.
I'm not that quick. Go ahead, Tim. You go first. I'll see if I think of something.
Either Mr. Invisible, because I won't be there, or
That's good. I like that.
or Mr. I'll fix it tomorrow.
All right.
I still got nothing. Sorry.
I got ones picked out for some other people too, but I
Yeah.
don't want to say who they are, but I'll give you the name of the one person in particular. Astronaut. Because all he does is take up space.
Nice.
But no name and names.
Yeah.
All right. Last question, gentlemen. Who wants to take it first?
Go for it.
What's one thing about field service work that would surprise people who've never done it?
The hours probably.
Okay.
Yeah. Sometimes it
Yeah.
can be 20 minutes. Sometimes it can be 20 hours.
Yeah. Travel hours. Yeah, and that and unpredictability, I guess, is another piece of it. That which goes to the hours, like you said, 20 minutes, 20 hours.
I think I've said it in every podcast now so far. The best and worst part of field service work is you go home and the job is done.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, hey,
That's all.
anything you want to leave off with? Any final words? Joe, you want to start first?
Appreciate the time. This was fun. I didn't think I was going to have this much fun. I think for future for you, it might be better to do it with a team up. I think we had more dialogue. I've never seen one of your podcasts, but I'll let you be the judge. But I enjoyed being on with Tim. And thank you.
Oh, much appreciated. Tim, you got any final thoughts?
No, I mean, it was fun. First podcast, so yeah, no, let's do it again.
Absolutely. And same, I just wanted to say the same. It was very nice to, hang out with both of you and catching up. It's been a while, especially with Joe. I haven't seen him in a very long time. Tim, talk to you pretty often, right? At least once a month I try to remind myself to call you. So yeah, it was really fun. I enjoyed the time and I appreciate, I know we all have busy lives, so I appreciate you guys gave me an hour and 25 minutes. And hey, once it's up and online, share it and let's get the word out. Thanks again, guys.
We're born to rise in the fire and the strife. Gasoline veins, adrenaline high, breaking free from the ordinary life. We're the outlaws of the open road, no limits, no bounds, our spirits unfold. In the dark of night, our lights collide, electric dreams we're alive. We're powerful and vague, we're born to roam in the field service life, where the thrill of the chase cuts like a knife. We're born to rise in the fire and the strife.